Hey, what's up, guys? This is a bit of an immediate reaction to the Josh Taylor Jack Catterall fight. Now, full disclosure, I had the fight on, I had the entire fight on. Well, I didn't watch the entire fight, but I had it on. I was listening to it. I was busy doing something else between rounds 1 through 8. All right. So I cannot give a scorecard or a full breakdown. I may watch the fight later and do an actual post fight. But from the way the guys were calling the fight, Jack Catterall was shocking the world. He was winning the fight, but somehow, some way, Andre Ward had the fight close. And ultimately, had Josh Taylor winning the fight. Again, Andre Ward, he was a great fighter, but he is a terrible judge. He cannot score fights. All right, he should be. They need to give the scorecard obligation to somebody else. All right. Now, I was, listening, glancing back at my phone every now and then during the fight. In the 8th round, I saw where Josh Taylor went down, and it was a clean knockdown. All right. At that point, at the beginning of the 9th round, I focused on the fight. All right, actually pulled it up on my TV. All right, now it appears that Jack Catterall sort of, ran out of gas. He was apparently he was great rounds 1 through 8, but in 9, 10, 11, and 12, he had taken a step back, and really 9, 10, 11, he had kind of, everything had kind of gone down for him. In the 12th round, he kind of got a second win, but and that's his fault, that he didn't have, what it took to be aggressive for the entire fight. All right, now Josh Taylor definitely appeared to be the more beat up fighter. He had been knocked down. The CompuBox numbers, which I don't always agree with, had Jack Catterall basically winning the fight. All right, now let me comment on the controversy. All right, supposed controversy. Now, you guys in the UK, please let us know what Adam Smith and the commentators on Sky, what they were saying about, I believe the guy's name is Marcus McDonald, the referee. Please let us know what they were saying. All right, I can tell you, we can tell you in America that the guys on the ESPN broadcast, Joe Tessitore, Tim Bradley, Andre Ward, they were basically outraged in disbelief at Marcus McDonald. All right, they were ripping him after the fight, during the fight, saying that he was doing too much, he was getting too involved, that he was ruining the fight, all this kind of stuff, right? Now, what I'm going to say might shock you a bit, all right? I totally disagree, all right? And I have been critical of the British Boxing Board of Control, or as I like to call them, the British Boxing Board of Collusion. I see some fishy shit going on over there with referees and judges and all that kind of shit. All right. Now, the controversy started when Jack Catterall was deducted a point. All right. Basically, the guys, I believe, were in a clinch. Josh Taylor had gone down, and he like had his glove on the back of Josh Taylor's neck and like kind of pushed down on him, right? Which I clearly saw, and the ref saw. All right. Now, it's arguable that, hey, Jack Catterall had got a knockdown. He had been boxing, the fight of his life. Big upset. Why do that to the guy? Why not just give him a warning or whatever, right? That's arguable, and I can understand that, all right? But at the same time, it was Jack Catterall's fault. He put himself in that position of doing, a dirty move like that when it was unnecessary, all right? He had, supposedly, he was winning the fight. He was shocking the world, and he didn't keep his cool, all right? It was his fault. He did that shit, all right? So maybe the ref should gave him a strong warning. I think he had been warning him before that the guys was getting tied up and all that, And plus, I cannot comment on what happened between rounds 1 and 8 when I was mainly listening to the fight instead of watching the fight. All right. But that was Jack Catterall's fault, all right? Now, uh, to the next point deduction, which was Josh Taylor. All right, after the bell, the guys were basically in Josh Taylor's corner. Catterall had his hands down. He was about to walk towards his corner, and Josh Taylor, you know, it was not a hard punch. It was not something that made Jack Catterall, fall in pain and grab his stomach. But it was not a light tap either. It was not a light tap on the arm. It was a blatant punch after the bell to the body. All right, it wasn't gonna hurt him, but it was a dirty shot to say, hey, let me just hit you right here. All right, it was unnecessary. And again, Josh Taylor did that. That was not the ref's fault. And also, and this is the most important thing, the referee was doing what was necessary to keep and maintain control of that fight. And I don't blame him whatsoever, because the guys were getting tangled up. It was getting kind of dirty, with the pushing and the headlocks and all that and grappling. The fight was appearing to get out of hand. All right, and at one point, the referee brought them to the middle of the ring and was scolding them both pretty bad. So he was doing what was necessary to to maintain order. And I don't blame him. And see, that's what these guys, Tim Bradley and Andre Ward and Joe Tessitore, they did not acknowledge it. They did not bring that up. They were just outraged that he was getting involved. He was taking points when the fight was going the way it was going. I side with Marcus McDonald in this fight. And that might not be the popular thing to say, but I'm with him. I understand why he did what he did. Both guys did what they did to bring point deductions on themselves. That was not the ref's fault. It was not something that just happened out of thin air. You can point and look at two specific incidences, things that happened that caused point deductions. All right, now. I believe Howard Foster scored the, and of course when they said Howard Foster, I was like, oh Lord, is him being a judge. All right, he scored the fight for Catterall. All right, he had him winning by 1 point. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree that he won the fight, if not by more than 1 point. All right, one person had it 3 points for Josh Taylor. That might be the worst scorecard of all. I think all three guys were British. They all seem to be from the BBBFC. All right, names that I have heard, I'm familiar with. All right, and I think the other guy had it maybe 1 point for Josh Taylor. All right, like I said, later on at some point, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, I will try to watch this fight and judge this fight. All right, and maybe you take notes on this fight. All right, to sort of break it down. All right, but as far as the pound for pound, first off, it was Canelo. He got outboxed by Caleb Plant. All right, Terrence Crawford, he was getting outboxed by Sean Porter. All right, they both got the knockouts. Congrats to them, but if you're in my pound for pound, you're getting outboxed, you're not gonna be in my pound for pound anymore. And I have two rules basically. If you get outboxed, you out, and most likely if you get knocked down, you out. All right, and it is quite possible that both happened with Josh Taylor. He definitely got knocked down, and he may have gotten outboxed and lost this fight once I judged the fight. But even if I do judge him winning the fight, he's not gonna stay in my top 5 pound for pound. You were this big of a favorite. You were at home. You were expected to school this guy. Hell, you were even favored to knock out this guy. And Jack Catterall, possibly, he did shock the world. Even though he didn't get the official decision, he announced himself to the world. He is a world player. People will remember his name. He will get another title shot as long as he keeps winning. All right. So Josh Taylor, who I had at number 2 in my pound for pound, is now out. along with Terrence Crawford, along with Canelo. They can possibly get back in. Let's see what they do in the future. But as of now, I only have a top three. I'm leaving 4 and 5 vacant. But as of now, number three, I have Shakur Stevenson. After what he did in his last fight, he was standing right in front of Jamel Herring. The guy couldn't hit him all right. Uh, it was brilliant. So I put him in my top five. He was forward, now he's number three. All right, the Monster is number two, and Alexander Usyk is number one. All right, cruiserweight was undisputed, moved up to heavyweight, and won three of the four major world titles. Won 4 belts, including the IBO. So that's the way my top. I have a top three pound for pound at the moment. Josh Taylor. Even though I did not see the fight, from the way the guys were calling the fight, from the way he looked, the fact that he got dropped, that the fact that it was even this close, he has plummeted out, and I felt that him fighting Terrence Crawford, it was a bit unpredictable. Like Tim Bradley said, if you're getting hit flush this much, if Terrence Crawford's landing these kind of shots, man, he ain't gonna make it to the finish line. And I was thinking that Terrence Crawford is always a big favorite, but I felt that Josh Taylor would get some respect. I could have saw him opening as like a plus 300 or plus 500 underdog in that fight. Now he might be a plus 500 to a plus 700 underdog. Against Terrence Crawford. Everybody gonna think that, and Terrence Crawford will be favored to get a stoppage. If he fights Terrence Crawford next in the fall. So, his stock dropped big time, and Andre Ward was saying in the post show, talking about, oh man, Josh Taylor, he needs to, with the controversy, he needs to run this back. He needs to stay at 140 and give Jack Catterall a rematch to right the supposed wrong. To everybody thinking that he lost. Man, what's Andre Ward talking about, man? What is he talking about? The guy got the golden ticket to get an immediate title shot at 147. What, for the pride, to pound the chest, to prove to the fans. He gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna pass up Terrence Crawford. I'm gonna stay at 140 and drain myself again to fight Jack Catterall. Now, I don't believe that Josh Taylor is or would be afraid of Catterall. What he should say is, yeah, I love to fight Jack Catterall again, but it's got to be at 147. I'm not cutting down to 140 anymore. You could see at the weigh-in that he was sucked out. And it's time to move up, man. You got to be smart. You got to take the immediate title shot, the immediate mandatory. So I don't know what Andre Ward is talking about. I totally disagree. All right, and I agree with Tim Bradley saying that that he should be out of the he should go down or be out of the pound for pound rankings. Not to give him a pass, and with the criticism and saying what he said about him fighting Crawford. So I agree with what Tim Bradley was saying. It's a shocker, man. A lot of people gonna say it was a robbery, and I can't wait to actually view the fight in full. When I was hearing them talk about how Jack Catterall, how good he was doing, I would glance down to see how Josh Taylor would respond. I saw him missing a lot of shots, looking sloppy, timing looked off. I'm not gonna discredit Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall should not be disrespected. When I was hearing this week leading up to the fight, how he had been in camp with Canelo, how he had been in camps with Mayweather. ESPN did an article saying that the guy, he was saying how he was in camp, I think, with Mayweather, and some guys couldn't last, and how they kept inviting him back, because he was giving good work. He wasn't just some pushover. He kept getting invited back. And I'm trying to think of what else did Catterall say. He was talking about like how at the Mayweather gym, they would go like 8-10 minute rounds, all this kind of stuff, and so the guy had been in camps. He had been in with big names. I was saying to myself, it was kind of tempting to, maybe put a little something on him being such a big underdog. But, as somebody who really believes in Josh Taylor, in his talent, him being at the top of my pound for pound, I was not going to bet against Josh Taylor. I really had not seen much of Catterall, and Catterall had not fought anybody at his level, in a real fight. But, he has the respect of the boxing world now, boy. He won't be that kind of a dog anymore. I doubt it. Unless he goes up to fight Terrence Crawford or something like that. But 140 is interesting, man. You got Catterall, you got Ramirez, which, by the way, he looks like a broken man, Jose Ramirez. In that interview they were showing that he did with Mark Kriegel, talking about the loss, talking about how he was dealing with the emotions and all that. Man, he looked like he got his soul snatched by Josh Taylor. He looks like a broken man. He was talking to Mark Kriegel with his head down. He couldn't look the man in the eye. He sounded sad. He looked sad, like he was moping and shit. Talking about how he wasn't leaving the house much except for getting his son from school. And you're going in with a former world champion in Pedraza. By the way, and I thought about this, Pedraza, remember at one time he was dropped from the WBC rankings because he didn't enroll in the clean boxing program. And I checked his box rec. He is not enrolled in the clean boxing program. Jose Ramirez is enrolled in the clean boxing program, so he had a disadvantage in that way. If they're not doing vital testing for the fight, which I doubt they are, he's at a disadvantage. Vada could show up and test Ramirez anytime, sign up for a fight or not. Pedraza, all he got to do is pass commission test. He can do whatever he want, and nobody gonna test him. So, with the emotional toll, being down, all this and that, going up against this guy who is he doing something? Who knows? But, it don't look good when you get dropped. You don't enroll and all that. So, and I checked the odds. The guy's as high as a plus 500 underdog. Pedraza is against Ramirez, a guy who just lost, who got knocked down multiple times, who appears to be a broken man. So that looks like a very juicy play next weekend. So be on the lookout for that. But this was a shocker tonight, guys. This was a shocker tonight. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything because there was a lot I wanted to comment on. I talked about the referee, the pound for pound. The future of 140. You got, like I said, you got Ramirez, Pedraza, Catterall, Zapata. Oh man. We got Postal and Russell fighting tonight. By the way, I put a little something on Postal. I haven't seen much of Russell, but I think I could be wrong, but I think people are overrating him because he got all these stoppages. But who has he been fighting? Number one. All right, this is a different level. Now Postal is a bit older, maybe nearing the end of his career, but this is a former world champion who has been in, with big names and has only lost to big names. So, this 14-0 kid, if you think he's gonna win, I think it might be a better bet to play him winning by decision because Postal has not been stopping his career, and he's been in with Taylor, Crawford, and Ramirez. So, unless age catches up to him and the guy just blitzes him, all I saw Russell doing was coming forward, applying pressure, and guys couldn't handle it, didn't want no part of it. So, a possible upset alert, they giving big odds, plus 450 on up on Postal to win that fight. So, but yeah, you got those guys. You got who else is in the division? Montana Love, if he can still make the weight, because he didn't make weight last time, and Sandor Martin is in the division. So, there's some players, man. Once these belts become vacant, man, we could get some juicy fights, juicy title fights. So, really, I think that's it, guys. I think I kind of touched on things that the guys were saying after the fight and how they were reacting during the fight. But even if Jack Catterall, in a but officially he lost. All right, so in an official loss, supposed loss, supposed robbery, whatever, you know, even when they lost, man, he made he made a big name for himself, man. Set himself up some big fights, some big money, and I'm pretty sure he will be highly rated and could possibly get a world title shot soon, maybe for a vacant belt. So I think that's it, guys. If I miss anything, I'll leave a comment in the comment section, or I will address it if I do a post-fight video on this fight. Thanks for watching.